Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, so subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So, in tonight's episode, I'm going to be discussing with you going back to self love practices after a chaotic move. Now, my flat tour video, if you've not seen it yet, please go and watch the messy flat tour video. You will notice that when I move, my whole flat is in total mess and absolute chaos. I'd like to say that it's much improved since then, but it has a little improved, but not improved to the standard that I wished it had improved in the shortest amount of time. So at the moment, I'm really irritated by the fact there's still boxes everywhere and no one room has been completely finished with cleaning and stuff that's got to be done in it. So, for example, in this room, the master bedroom, I bought a chest of drawers, but I've had problems with the drawers in the chest of drawers, like catching on things. So I've had to contact the manufacturer well, not the manufacturer, the supplier, the person who sold it to me on Amazon about it. So until that chest of drawers is either fixed or I have to accept it as it is, I can't put any clothes in there. So that is something that's holding me back, right? Also, under the bed, there's storage drawers here, which I could use to put things in. But again, they need cleaning. Now, you might think, like, what have you been doing considering you've been here a while? But every day nearly has been taken up with stuff for the move, like unpacking, cleaning, or work being done in the actual bathroom. There's a lot of work that's had to be done in this place, things that weren't right, that needed repairing even before I moved in. And the first night I moved in here, there was a leak in the bathroom. So the bath panel was off. The letting agency, one of the guys from the letting agency, I should say, he lent me his dehumidifier. The bath panel was off for ages. And then I realized that in the bathroom, I really need somewhere to hang my towels to dry. And the two hooks behind the door aren't enough because they're not going to air it out. So I've been climbing a ladder to put the towels over the rail of the, which is a shower rail that's hung over the bath, which is not a long-term solution. So I asked permission for the landlord if I could have a towel rail, a three-tier towel rail, because I used to use three towels for my body because of my disabilities, so that they would dry properly. And also I wanted a shelf to put over the sink that can hold my toothbrush holder and things like that, and facial cream, because there's nothing over there. So I said that I would be willing to pay for that if he didn't want it to stay as a permanent feature. So there's a lot of emails that's gone backwards and forwards. It's been very stressful because I didn't even know where the gas meter was when I first got the keys before I moved in. Then when I found the gas meter, I was under the impression it was it was a paid monthly meter, but it wasn't. I found out that it actually was a card payment meter. So I had to go on emergency credit, and that was really stressful. But since I've moved in, there's literally boxes everywhere. And no one room's finished because there's always something more to do. And this is really frustrating. It's very chaotic. I just want stuff to be done. I have to have help to do certain things. My best friend has worked tirelessly to help me, but there's still boxes everywhere. There's still stuff that needs to be done. There's things like the workstation wardrobe that was installed. It was like disassembled and reassembled by the people who moved me. They didn't put enough screws in. So my best friend had to mend that. And so that took longer. I put clothes in, then upon examination, it had a gap in it, so it was flapping. So that wasn't any good. But my best friend said he would sort that out, which he did. But then there's the office, and what I've noticed, two of the screws in the office section is loose as well. One of them isn't really doing anything, so that needs fixing. So there's things that need fixing. There's a sliding wardrobe that you can't even get to put up at the moment, literally because there's boxes all in front of it. So it kind of requires a lot of maneuvering around. So this is very chaotic. It's very hardcore. I get really irritated at the moment. I just want everything to be nice in its right place and tidied away and sorted out. But I can't wave a magic wand. Earlier today, I've been food shopping and toiletry shopping, like toilet roll shopping. I have stuff I have to get to just be able to look after myself. And this is part of what this video is about. Like, how do you go back to self-love practices after a chaotic move? Because when you move, let's face it, although you want to self-love, you want to create healthy practices, a lot of the time it's stressful. Your full attention the majority of the time is on packing and getting ready to move and everything that comes with that. So you haven't really got much time for yourself, much time to even sleep or think. So now that I've been here a little while, I physically slept here since the 5th. Hello, Minky. Nice to see you. So I physically moved in terms of sleep on the 5th of November. It's now the 17th now. But for 3 nights, well, three days, I should say, me and my best friend were cleaning the old place. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we were at the old place and all the days. So I wasn't really here for those 3 days. So it didn't really start properly living here until the 9th of November. But it's now the 7th, and it's like 80 days I've been here, and I feel like I should have achieved more by now. But I know the amount of stuff that's had to happen. I've had to buy things to help make this move a lot easier, such as the robotic hoover, because housework really hurts me with fibromyalgia. So I bought the robotic hoover to be able to hoover a lot for me, so I won't have to do much in terms of hoovering. However, you still got to maneuver him, you still got to pick things up off the floor, you still got to move things for the robot. I've got a mini dishwasher as well, which does help. Again, it can't clean everything because it's a mini dishwasher, so I have to still clean trays in the sink, but that's been set up now. It does really work very well with cutlery and mugs and like plastic bowls. Minky, first step on the 5th of November. I remember my first step in the house I'm in now, 10th of December 2022. Oh, bless you. So prior to the 5th of November, I actually got the keys on the 23rd of October, and me and my best friend were moving stuff over using a suitcase and a shopping trolley and our hands, apart from once we used a taxi. So we were actually moving some stuff in. We moved over 20 bags of stuff in here before the removal company even brought me, with all my belongings over here. So, and on the last day of cleaning over there, it was really hard because I didn't book a taxi and I didn't realize how much cleaning equipment we had. So my best friend, I've got a shorts video on this. My best friend literally had to he didn't have to, but he did. He didn't really have too much of a choice because there was huge paint pots and stuff, and I filled the shopping trolley up with the Hoover there because I had to make sure the Hoover from there was still taken with me. And there was like loads of chemicals, cleaning stuff, and it was tons of stuff. And there was paint pots I forgot we got. So my best friend had to carry a lot of that up the hill with me so I could sit down on a bench. And then he went to the new place and put some stuff in that to come back for the rest. So I should have ordered a taxi with hindsight. But I just feel like my whole place is in chaos. Like I'm having to step over boxes or around boxes all the time. And my underwear is still in a suitcase just for your personal information because I need the chest of drawers in the bedroom that's got problems with the drawers to be fine to put my underwear in. I could go and put it in the second bedroom where the old chest of drawers, which I used for my underwear at the other place, is. But I kind of wanted to keep it in the master bedroom rather than put it in a second bedroom, which I'm not really going to be using as a second bedroom. But at the moment that chest of drawers is free. I'd need to clean it out because obviously it gets dusty when you're moving. So, but I don't really want to put the stuff in there just to move it to the bedroom. There's the chest of drawers is a bit better in the bedroom since I contacted the seller, and they told me to change the drawers around. So they do run a bit better, but they're very clunky. It's not the type of furniture I would go out and buy if I knew that we're making that type of noise. And it felt like it was catching, even though I've screwed the screws really tightly. Some screws just keep going round and round because they've been turned so much they can't even turn anymore. When you're going to damage the thread, which is no good anyway. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have a car to drive to take this to post it back or anything. The people actually the courier didn't even take the chest of drawers up the stairs. It's in 2 packages. And I specifically put on Amazon instructions, please take any appliances and furniture upstairs to my actual flat. And they didn't. They left both boxes downstairs. I don't know how, but I managed to carry one box, the smaller of the two, up myself. Considering I've had a broken spine that I've been recovering from through physio, I should say, since April, my spine's been holding up really well. That's the one good thing I would say that's really come out of this, other than moving itself and my best friend helping me, is the fact my spine has held up a lot. It's been really strong, stronger than I thought it would be. So I've really worked hard on my physiotherapist exercises. They're hardcore. It causes you pain to do these exercises, but you have to do the pain stuff in order to gain a more strong spine again. The physios told me it'll never ever grow back the same way. That I've got 2 wedge fractures in T8 and T9. She said they'll be should be healed by now, but the bone will grow back over the wedges in the wedge shape. You'll never have like your spine will never be like aligned properly. It'll never be the straight. Well, it's curved, isn't it? It will never be the shape it's meant to be anymore. She said what happens is the bone grows thick around it. It grows thicker than the bone itself, and over the process of 2 years it absorbs the excess bone that's grown over it into the body, basically. But it can take up to 2 years, which means you can have restricted movement for 2 years. She only told me this before I moved, and I'm like, I don't want restricted movement for 2 years. I was quite shocked to hear that, but I'm really pleased because I've done a lot of bending and crouching down and stuff that I couldn't do before with cleaning with the old place. I mean, my best friend takes about an hour to do something that I take 3 hours to clean. So I have to know that I am going slower because I do have disabilities. I do have a recovering spine injury, but I also have fibromyalgia, and it does, both of them together obviously are quite hardcore. So what takes my best friend like an hour to clean the bathroom, it took me over 3 hours the other day, for example. But part of self-love practices is trying not to criticize yourself too much, which sometimes I'm quite hard on myself, I think. Because I think now I'm like, oh, I mean, from an outsider point of view, some people might be like, oh, well, you've been living there since the 5th of November. What have you been doing with your time? But every day I've been doing stuff. Every day. Like only yesterday, well, Friday, should I say now, did I spend part of the day going through Love Life Club coaching, which I had to catch up on because I've paid for a year's subscription to the Love Life Club membership, and you need to go through the courses and the coaching as all part of the package of training to improve yourself and your life and your dating and relationships in general. This is not just romantic relationships. This is relationships with friends and people in general in your life, and to improve your life and love it as well. So it's very valuable information, and there's a lot of trainings that I've missed because it's usually most of the time Wednesday, although there's one coming up next week on Thursday. They try and vary the times a little bit, but I've been missing it because I put all my energy into moving. Now, in terms of self-love practice, I've got to like not be too hard on myself because I've got to realize that I do have disabilities, and it does take me a lot longer to do things that other people can do in a third of the time I can do. But even having said that, it still means that I've accomplished it when I've done it. Do you know what I mean? So like today I went down to Aldi, but I did phone my parents on the way, but it took ages to walk down there and then walk back again. And I have to go and use the disabled toilet at the quayside, so I have to stop off for that because I use the toilet regularly. So I think in terms of self-love practices, especially when you've moved, you do have to give yourself some breathing space and some time to chill out and relax. So I've been catching up on sleep. I've been a lot more exhausted. Had a nap the other day. I don't usually nap. I've been going to bed like around midnight sometimes. Like one night, I think I went to sleep at 10:30, which is really, really weird for me. It's not normal for me. because I'm so physically exhausted with all the cleaning. Like the other day, it was like I'm cleaning, then I'm going to the post office to pick up an item that wasn't delivered to my home. They said no one was in when I was in, but I might have been drying my hair. Then I'm off to like get some electricity because it's a top-up meter here for electricity and gas, and I've got to go back out and get that. Then I've got to go back out and get some food items, and it's just never ending. So I've done some like work in the bathroom. So when the workman put the um towel rail and shelf, and it's like an all-in-one rail and shelf, he moved a cabinet of mine, which was good. The landlord allowed me to bring my own cabinets and for him to put them up there, but he didn't fill in the holes. So I had to fill in the holes, sand it down, and paint over it, which is not something I usually do. So I haven't done the top part of it's quite good, but the bottom part's not that great. So I'll probably have to do some of that again, sand it down a bit more. I mean, at the great scheme of things, it doesn't matter too much because I'm not really using that area, but the landlord will want it in to look decent, if you know what I mean. So I've got to redo some of that, I think. But it takes ages because the filler takes a while to dry, then the paint takes hours to dry. So it's hard, and then I can't get on with my time in the bathroom as much as I should do. Like, it's not organized like it should be because I've had to move stuff out of the way to paint and to polyfill and put bags all over the floor because I'm not the most tidiest of painters. It's more like slap it on and the paint flies off and goes on the bags. It drips, even though I try to push it against the paint pot, it just drips, and I'm like, oh, I just want it because have pain when I do housework and stuff and painting. I just want it to be over as quick as possible. So it's a case of more slap it on there than worry about too much precision. Although I have done quite a good job of going neatly around my cabinet, but I had to wipe some of it off my cabinet because I got some of it on. So I think in terms of self-love practices, it's important for me to now have a bit of time out for myself because otherwise it becomes too exhausting and too overwhelming. I do need to catch up on personal growth stuff, such as the Love Life Club, because I still need to be developing and growing myself. And obviously, I'm starting to do live streams again on this channel, which has been really difficult for me to do, especially the first week, because I've been so tired and exhausted. I just can't keep even my eyes open to do a live stream. So it's going to take me a while to get back into doing stuff. But I think with self-love, you've got to give yourself time, and you've got to be patient with the process and realize that where you might have irritants, there are a lot of things to be grateful for with moving. And I think part of self-love is gratitude for what you do have in life rather than just looking at what's not there yet or what I don't have, i.e., a harmonic living space, because it's still in chaos. If I think to myself, I feel so lucky and blessed that I've actually got a home, because I was going to potentially be made homeless again. I've never been homeless so far, and I don't want to be, but I was going to be made homeless last year when I had to move to the place I've just moved from because my landlord was selling. And then this landlord, where I've just moved from, he was selling. So basically, it's like, you have X amount of months to get out. And if I had nowhere to go, I could end up on the streets. So, all right, it's inconvenient that I've got boxes all around me and things aren't sorted out the way I wish they were. But at the end of the day, I've got a home. I'm secure here. The landlord has this is my flat's part of 2 blocks of flats. There's like 35 flats in total across 2 blocks. And so the landlord has a lot of property. So he's not going to be the type of person normally that would just go and sell the property. He wants to rent it out. That's how he makes his living, I guess, in part. So he has, when I asked him about the security of moving it, he goes, oh yeah, the landlord has lots of different properties. So usually tenants leave before the landlord ever thinks about like not having tenant there. So that was good. So I think there's going to be a lot more security here. The flat itself is bigger, but in the old place, there was a hidden storage behind the bed and underneath the stairs, which there's none here. There's just like 3 drawers. Sorry, not 3 drawers, 3 shelves above where the, in the cupboard, above where the washer dryer is. And that's it. So I have to build storage in order to store things. And there's quite a lot of cupboards though in the kitchen, which is a bonus, which is good. but there's still part of the kitchen that I need to clean, because it was in, although the although the letting agency thought it was in fairly good condition before I came in there, it wasn't, and still isn't, fully up to the standards that I like to live here. I mean, my best friend, he went on the tops of the cabinets in the kitchen because I couldn't get up there because I'm short, and he got a ladder, but he said even he had a hard time reaching it. It's full of grease. Now, I don't intend to use a big oven. I've got my mini oven, and usually with a mini oven, you're not going to have grease like that. So that's going to cut down the amount of cleaning I would need to do. I try and get things to help, which again is a self-love thing. A self-love thing is getting things to help make your life easier, or to do things quicker, to help make things more convenient to you. So part of self-love is caring about yourself and finding ways and things you can implement in order to reduce the difficulties you have in life. So, for example, washing up for me has always been really difficult. I get a lot of pain in my back. I've spoke to the physio about this. This is before I had my back injury because of fibromyalgia. It really caused me a lot of stress, which means I have washing up usually building up for days. So because I got space for a mini dishwasher here, I bought the mini dishwasher. It's quite expensive dishwasher, right? I think it's one of the most expensive, it's the most expensive comfy, the brand comfy that I could find. And I just went and thought that sounds like good, because it's portable, so you don't have to you can fill it up with a jug basically. You don't have to have it attached to the tap, so people can take it camping and stuff. So I thought this is ideal for what I want it for. And I've never had a dishwasher in my life, but this helps to cut down the amount of time that I've got to do washing. It cuts down the stress of seeing dirty cutlery in the sink, to the point where I actually run out of cutlery because I haven't had time to wash it, because it gives me so much pain. I tend to store it up all at once and then do it. But with the dishwasher now, I don't have to. The dishwasher is very good at doing cutlery, actually. I'm quite shocked. Minky, potentially being made homeless sounds like a real nightmare. Thank you, Minky. Yeah, it's really distressing. I've had that twice now. I mean, literally, like, I can't go back and live with my parents. I won't go into details about that, but we're very different people, and they won't have me living there ever again. So there's no option for me to go back there. So I don't have any brothers or sisters I can go to. And my other family, like cousins and that, we don't really talk. So you know what I mean? I don't have anywhere else to go. So I always have to like fend for myself, which is hardcore. I mean, most people that I know, if the shit hits the fan, excuse my language, they can always go back to their parents. It's not like that with me. It hasn't been like that for years. It never really was like that. So I've only ever been back living there once briefly, years ago. So since leaving home, that was it. So yeah, so it was weird, because the last place I lived at, I actually thought and told my best friend that I'm not really happy here anymore, and I think I want to move. And then about a week later, I get this email out of blue from my letting agency, and it said, "Oh, your landlord's thinking about selling. He's giving you a heads up. The next month he's going to give you notice, probably the 2 months notice for you to move out." So they gave me some extra time. And yeah, so, but I was already thinking about moving. I believe in law of attraction, and what you think you can manifest. So because in my old place there was students that moved in, and they were doing drugs, and one of them was like wailing in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m. in the morning. At one time it went on to 4 a.m. and it was like every 10 minutes. Literally high off drugs. I actually, at end, because I cleared all my furniture out the bedroom, I literally saw the equipment and saw two Indian guys, I think it was as well. Two Indian guys, of all people, on the table smoking drugs. And I thought, clearly it's probably one of you that's making the wailing noise. But it was quite frightening, because whoever was doing it, I assumed the guy was on drugs because I could never see the guy's face, but I did actually catch the two guys through the window. I saw them doing drugs. But whatever guy it was, he was wailing, and he was being really nasty, calling effing this, calling someone a bitch, and it went on, and it was so horrible. And there was like other people that seemed to be around there doing drugs as well. And so it got worse and worse with drugs around where I used to live, which I've just moved from. So that's why I said to my best friend, I think I'm not happy here anymore. I want to move. So it is a blessing in disguise. It's a good thing. But obviously, when within a week, the email out of the blue came that the landlord's thinking about selling. And so, I'll give you a heads up, they're probably going to give you notice from next month. So obviously, by having that bit of extra notice, I know it's better for me because it's very hard to move close to Christmas. People don't tend to move near Christmas. They tend to move in January if they're going to move. But my city is very difficult to find anywhere anyway, because it's nearly all student accommodation, and they're building more student accommodation around from this new flat where I've moved to. They're getting rid of 2 Chinese. There's like a Chinese restaurant that's now shut down and a Chinese shop. And I met the owner outside his shop because he's got, there's a Chinese shop and there's a Chinese restaurant, but there's also another Chinese shop across the road. And the Chinese shop across the road, he said he owned the restaurant that's closed down because they're building student accommodation there. And that's just around the corner from me. So it's kind of like really weird. So I needed to move out, but I'm glad he gave me that extra time, because otherwise I'd probably be even more in trouble. And this was the best place I saw. This was the only place I viewed in person, and no one else viewed it but me. I got in there before anyone else with this flat, and it wasn't even ever advertised by the letting agency on their website. I got in here. It was that I do have shorts videos on the day I went round every letting agency I could possibly go around in a day. It was on a Friday, I think, and I did shorts videos of how to present yourself when you're going through for properties, when you're going to estate agents, what type of thing to say, how to dress, and all this lot. And that it was on that day when I got told that I could get a viewing for this flat that I'm living in now. And this was the only one I viewed in person. All the other ones I saw the pictures of and made some phone inquiries about a couple, I think, they weren't suitable. So I was really looking to get this, especially before Christmas, because now I don't have to worry about potentially being homeless in the new year. Do you know what I mean? So it is really, really good. It's just very chaotic, but there was a lot of repairs that needed doing here, but they didn't say it needed repairing. They just showed photographs. They didn't even get the photographs straight away. They sent me a file that they didn't send me the photographs. They said, "Oh, we'll send you photographs of the way the flat looked when the previous tenants left." And some of the things they included, but other things they didn't even acknowledge were issues. And I think there's a problem with the boiler here as well. The workman said to monitor it, but in the kitchen it doesn't really get hot, and sometimes it says it's over 75 degrees and it's pretty cool. So I've got to contact them about that. So that will probably be more work that needs to be done. The workman also said there's problems with 2 of the lights. They need an electrician out because they're faulty. So do you know what I mean? And when you've got workmen in, you've got to wait for them to come to your home. You've got them be with them to talk them through what the problem is. If they don't know what the problem is, you've then got to sort of be in with them. I mean, you can leave a key. Like the letting agency can give them, well, you don't leave a key, the letting agency can give them a key to get in. But if they don't know the specific problem, they need you to describe it to them and be there. So all this takes time. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a lot of hassle because you've got someone in your home, so you can't really relax or settle. It means getting up at us earlier. It means talking the person through the problem. Then they often have to go off and get a spare part and come back another day. And by the time you know it, half of your days are just completely messed up in terms of, like, I say messed up, it's like you can't really do much more, or you can only do a certain amount in the time. Minky, I couldn't imagine in my seconds, given that I have no family or friends to move to. Abusive family and friends live way too far away and such. Very stressing and depressing thought. You can imagine it in your, I couldn't imagine it in my scenario, says Minky. Given that I have no family or friends to move to, abusive family and friends live way too far and such. Very stressed and depressing thought. Yeah, it is really tough. I don't want a depressing one, but it is really tough. I mean, the benefit of doing it once is I know I can do it again, but you have to make it like a full-time job. It has to be like a full-time job. So I had a respiratory infection for over 3 weeks, and my voice went for 6 of those days. And that I viewed this property on the 23rd of September. which was just before, a few days before, I think it was, that I took poorly. I think it was like three days before or something, or was it 4 days? I think it was 4 days, something like that, before I got the respiratory infection and literally lost my voice for 6 days and couldn't stream. And then I was having to sort stuff out for this place with the letting agency before I'd even fully got over my respiratory infection. I got my voice back in part. Sometimes it was going again. And so that was really tough. So I'm having to deal with that when I'm not well. Do you know what I mean? So I knew that when I was in that place, a lot of my time, energy, and effort was going into moving and packing and getting ready. Although my best friend did a lot of the packing, to be honest, rather than me. I was like quite overwhelmed, and he's more logical, going pack, pack, pack. What needs packing? You know what I mean? Whereas I'm stressing out, going, oh, there's so much to pack. So I do think part of self-love is obviously if you've got friends that can support you and are willing to support you, that's nice to get in contact with them. Also, sometimes just saying something to another person and having them as a sounding board, or to have empathy or support virtually, like care in a caring manner. It's just nice, you know. And also part of self-love is making sure you surround yourself with good people, you know, like who you have in yourself as your friends. I rather have a few friends that are good quality than have a ton of friends that and like give a shit about me. Do you know what I mean? So part of self-love is vetting your circle of friends and making sure the people that are your friends genuinely take an interest in you and what you do and genuinely care about you on some level. Obviously, some friends will be really close friends, some people might be best friend, others will be more distant friend. But I think it's really important the people you surround yourself with, you know, is a part of a self-love practice, because if you surround yourself with people who are toxic, for example, or who are putting you down or belittling you or criticizing you and stuff like that, it's not going to be very good for your mental health, and that has a toll on your physical health. I know some people live at home with their family still who are toxic. You know, if you've I know, as Minky said, he's been through that, you know, with this abusive family. So, you know, in situations like that, it's so difficult. But part of self-love is when you can get away, like Minky's done, is to get away from that scenario and cut that off or limit your time with it if you can't cut it off completely. Because, you know, our environment, the people we surround ourselves with, the work we do, where we live, it all affects us. At the moment, obviously, because my place is in chaos, it's not feeling so good and harmonious as it should for me. But part of my self-love now is realizing that I do still need to have time in the present moment, rather than just thinking, oh, I've got to do this and this, all the unpacking and everything. It's important, for example, to go back to self-dating. So in the morning, which it is the morning now, it's nearly 2 a.m. here in the UK, 1 minute to 2 a.m. I've got to be at the cinema. I've got to be up at 8 a.m. to go get ready to go to the cinema. Now, luckily, I live between two cinemas now. The two cinemas I usually go to, I live between them. And the cinema that I'm going to tomorrow, which is the Odeon, it literally is like less than 5 minutes from my home. It's probably about 3 minutes. It's really, I get, if I say too much, I'll just be giving away where I live, really, won't I? But I didn't think about that. But anyway, it's very, very close. I live very, very close to the cinemas now, both of them. And so part of my self-love is now starting to self-date again. Like, I realize my place is still in chaos and there's things that need to be done, but I have to take time out for me, because if I don't take time out for me, then I feel like I can't keep constantly working, because I was doing that before I moved and it's exhausting. And I need some time for myself sometimes. This means, like, you know, I can't answer messages always straight away because I have stuff to do. Like when I went out earlier, I literally was so hungry. Like I didn't eat. I've been eating my food, like timetable's been completely kind of like screwed up. But I don't necessarily eat at regular times anyway. But I was so hungry. It was gone 3:30, I think, in the afternoon. I really needed food. So I went to the Thai restaurant. I had no potatoes in my home, so I couldn't cook a jag of potatoes or potatoes with anything. I like the fruit's been really bad in Exeter. There's hardly any fruit. I've only got like frozen, or had frozen fruit, should I say. I've got in tins of pineapple. And so, you know, and I had to go out. So I had to first fill myself up with food, because I get low blood sugar. And when I get low blood sugar, I have what they call hangry. Hangry is a cross between hungry and angry. And I won't message people usually back when I'm in that state because I'm not in a good mood. I'm quite angry like this. It makes you feel quite aggressive inside. So in order to not show that to other people, in order to not be like that with someone, I won't message back when I'm really hungry and I know that I need to put myself first and go and get food so that my blood sugar level can come back up. Because when I get low blood sugar, it makes me feel hangry, and then I can start slurring my words. I start getting confused. I can't concentrate on what I'm saying and doing, and it ends up me being bad. So part of self-love is sometimes you have to put yourself first and realize you've got people you need to message back, but it's better to message back when you have more time, you can think clearly, and you can respond accordingly with love, care, and attention, rather than responding when you're in a confused state. You can't think straight, you're feeling quite angry. Being hangry, which is angry and hungry together, it's quite an aggressive feeling. I don't like that feeling, but I know when it comes on, and I've got to, like, it's like, you've got to get food now, Sandra. And I don't like to talk to anyone during that time, really. I prefer to be on my own. If I'm at home on my own and I'm in that state, there's only me to deal with. But if I'm having to deal with other people, it's not good for me, because what happens in those moments is my energy is limited, and it's limited to dealing with my internal systems, which are crashing basically because my blood sugar level's getting way too low, and it's not fueling me. So I haven't got enough fuel to keep going on and on, and it starts causing my head chaos, and I'm like, I need to get food now. That's why when I'm out, usually I keep health bars on me, I keep naked bars on me, I go and get snacks quite regularly. I go into a shop if I need to get a snack or something, because I have to keep my blood sugar levels up. But usually every couple of hours I start getting hungry, even if I ate a full meal. And I've got some smart scales as something I bought myself because I'm taking my fitness very seriously after a lot of health issues this year. Again, part of self-love. Part of self-love is getting things that enable you to better look after yourself, which the robotic Hoover does, the mini dishwasher does, and these scales, they're fitness smart scales. And they tell you about your body, and it says I'm low on water, which is quite weird because I drink a lot of water, but I think it's because I go to the toilet. I'll probably pee a lot of it out, to be honest. And also, it says I'm low on protein, and it also says I've got a low basic metabolic rate, which means that the average female is supposed to be able to consume between 1,800 and 2,000 calories, every day, and I'm only burning 1,300 and something calories a day because I've got a low basic metabolic rate. So in the way it says to increase that is by doing more exercise or by drinking more water and stuff like that. But exercise in terms of resistance training, weightlifting, and HIIT, which is high intensity training. But when I've been doing a lot of work like cleaning and that, I haven't got time even to do my exercises for physio. When I saw the physio, I said I feel bad because I've barely done any of my actual physio exercise. She said, yeah, but when you're doing cleaning, you're doing more physical activity. You should treat that as exercise because you are exercising. And she said, and I said, I did over 3 hours of cleaning the bathroom the other day. And she's like, I would be exhausted after 3 hours of cleaning. That's normal. Minky, I keep naked bars on me. Asexualise 2024. Oh, that's really funny. Quoting me. Yeah, it sounds funny, doesn't it? So I had some shorts videos earlier on here as well, which is I've got in order to make my life a bit easier, I've got something called Whisper Transcribe, which can transcribe some of my videos for me. And it's just come out with a new update where I can do clips now. So I can take my channel videos and it uses AI to clip parts of my video. I've literally just started using that, but I thought I'd see how that goes because they said it was a feature that was coming, but I hadn't got it yet. But now it's just happened. So I do some shorts, but you still got to obviously check back that the AI has clipped the right thing, that it makes sense, and that you're happy with it. And there's still which position do you want the picture to be in, horizontal, vertical, all this lot. So you still have to do some adjustments, and you still have to like put in the title and stuff, although it gives you ideas for titles based on the content. So yeah, so I'm getting into doing this stream, but I've not been in my groups very much. I've had to put a notice in there to say that it's going to be chaotic while I'm moving. I'm not really going to be available for comments much and stuff like that. So part of self-love is letting other people know in your life that I'm going to be slower to reply to messages, or I haven't had time to reply to messages, or I've got this going on. And it's hard because obviously people don't see everything that's going on in my life, but it's like every day it's just so busy. And like going to like Aldi earlier, that was a huge walk. So I had to have the Thai meal first in order to fuel me up so my blood sugar level was not low, so I can get enough fuel just to walk down the quayside, by the quayside, to go to Aldi, because Aldi is the opposite end of the city to where I live now. I used to live diagonally opposite Aldi, and now it's the exact opposite end of the city. So it's like going from one end of the city to the other. It's quite hard, but I spoke to my parents on the phone on my mobile, because in my new place there's no mobile phone signal very much. There is a little, but isn't enough usually to call someone unless you're nearly glued to the window. So the workman the other day called me, but it didn't ring. My phone didn't ring. It was just a missed call. And if I try and phone someone back, they can't hear me. So I have to have a digital phone. I've got a new digital phone. I had to pay more for that. And it's like a landline, but it plugs into the hub. It's weird. I don't know why they call it a digital phone when it's really a landline, but it is a digital phone because it plugs into the hub rather than being a landline, as in a line from the land, basically. But it's still the same phone. You just plug it into a hub instead of the splitter in the wall. So I've had to do that. So if I make calls on my mobile, I have to be outside doing it usually, because people can't hear me. So I was phoning my parents on the way. I stopped on the quayside, and it was nice to just stop and talk to my parents for a bit, and also like to see, to chill out a bit, because I haven't really had much fresh air in the last couple of days. I've been indoors mostly. That's why I'm running out of food. And I'm like, you're running out of toilet rolls, you're running out of soy milk, you've run out of potatoes, you've got to go down. So I've had to make getting food my priority. So I went down to Aldi, spoke to my parents on the way, then I had to go to the toilet. There's a disabled toilet at the quayside, there and back. And then I had to lug it up the hill, a huge, like 12 soya milks, 7 packets of toilet rolls, 7 packets of 6 toilet rolls, because they're 6 that's meant to be equivalent to 12, because they're meant to be like ones that are like, like double the size of what they actually are. And then some lentil chips as well, and 4 bags of nuts. That's what I had to carry in my shopping trolley plus a bag. I had to bring all that weight back here to my flat. And then I had to put a wash on, because I need washing, because I'm still trying to get through washing from the old place where I moved, as well as the new stuff. But there's not that many places to put the new washing yet, because I haven't got enough storage. So I have to wash it gradually and feed it into whatever storage I am putting up, if you know what I mean, or my best friend's helping me to put up or putting up for me. And then I had to then change my tops, because I was really sweaty from going all the way down there, even though it's quite cold next to, people are saying I was quite sweaty doing that. So it's a long trek. And then I'm going out to Tesco again. And then it was quite difficult, because when I went to Tesco, I was walking, and the other side of the road, I'm seeing a guy punch another guy. There's like a group or 2 groups of guys together, and one of them's just smacking the other one. It looked like he smacked him against the wall on the head. It was horrible. And I'm like, this is just like something you see off TV. I don't watch TV, but I know my parents, they watch like, those emergency like police programs, where it's like they do actually have some in extra in my city at night with like youths or whatever, but doing stuff, antisocial behavior. It's like something off one of the TV programs, but unfortunately it was in real life. And I was worried, because I always get frightened of stuff like that, because I know that if people are attacking each other, they can run across the road away. I've had that happen in the past. They can run at you. So my heart starts beating really fast. So, I had to like, in situations like that, self-love is part of like, keep yourself safe. It's like, hang on a minute, I have to assess the situation. Like, is it going to continue the fighting? And how close am I? I mean, I'm across the road, but at the end of the day, I'm nearly parallel with them. So if one of them was to run off, it'd run in my direction. So then I'm thinking, which direction do I go? Do I bear left, which would be more towards the cathedral, but that would be more a chaotic way of going in darkness, or do I just keep going straight on ahead? I'm like, you've got to keep going straight on. But what happened was the guy who got smacked in the head, I think it was, punched in the head, he was trying to retaliate, and then the other guys were with him, were pulling him up, pulling him back, holding him back, so he didn't go and punch the guy back, because it would have just carried on fighting. But it's horrible when you see that. And so, I'm a bit more concerned about my safety lately in Exeter, because it has got a bit more, I would say areas of Exeter got more druggy lately. I would say, especially where I used to live, I would say that some areas of Exeter have got, in general, some places have got more violent, or it's just what I notice more. So it's a bit harder. So part of self-love is like trying to keep yourself safe, like be very aware of your surroundings, about what's going on where you live, and where the good areas are compared to the bad areas, if you like, and how to navigate getting out of tricky and difficult situations. Like, think ahead a bit if you can, and be prepared as much as possible. Like, make sure, like, if you're going down streets, you try and go down the main street where more people can see you, more well lit up streets and stuff like that. So looking after yourself, and part of self-love and self-care is the environment, recapping the environment. This means the people you surround yourself with, where you live, the workplace you have, if you have a workplace, the friends you choose for yourself, and also, like being street aware, like when you're out on the streets at night, just make sure you keep yourself as safe as possible by being aware. Usually I'm quite aware of what's going on, and if I see someone like really drunk or possibly on drugs, I will literally do a detour. I will go the opposite side of the road. I will go far out from where they are, so that they don't bump into me. But sometimes you can't avoid someone coming near you. Sometimes they come out of the blue and they'll just shoot across the road, and you've got to be very on your wits. So it's good if you can know different ways of going to places. Sometimes I've had, like, before I left the old place, right, one night when I was cleaning, well, I wasn't living there anymore, I was sleeping here, but one night when I was cleaning, it was the 7th of November, so this 6th, 7th and 8th were, me and my best friend were cleaning, but the 7th, my best friend went off to go to the train station, and there was this guy that came down the stairs. There's like steps, I should say, not stairs, steps, right? This is outside my old place. He looked right at me, called me a name, like I was some bloke or something, and started shouting at me. Clearly, he was off his head on drugs. And I wasn't the person he was looking for, but there was no one else there. There was just my best friend that was walking off up the road, and he was just staring at me, calling me Dan or something. I don't know what he was doing, but he was like, I can remember his now. It's quite frightening. I can remember now, like his shadow, and I just saw him there, and he'd come downstairs, and I said, I ran after my best friend. I'm like, I'm not going that way to come back to my new place. I'm going the opposite way. So I had to do a detour, go up the hill with him, and then turn off right, somewhere completely different, go round the houses just to get back home, because this guy's clearly off his head. There's no way I'm going to go up that way when he's shouting his head off and looking at me. So you have to do a detour to keep yourself safe. It's not ideal, because it's like, well, I could get where I need to go a lot quicker if I just went past him. You don't go past these people when they're in this type of state. They're off their head. They're not in their right mind. I don't know if they've ever got a right mind. So you have to be very, like, street aware as much as possible, and try not to put your own life at risk. If you know that you're in a risky situation, then try and go the safest way, even if it means taking more time to get to your destination of where you've got to go, even if it means it's more inconvenient. Just do it, because your safety should be your number one priority. That's part of self-love. A huge part of self-love is looking after yourself. The environment you have, the people you're around, the places you go to, the places you're in that you may not normally be in. Be very aware of your environment, as in the streets and where things are. Try and congregate with people who seem warmer and kinder, rather than people that seem cold and don't know what they're doing. And you've got to act quite confident as well. It's important to act confident as much as possible in life, especially when on the streets, because if people see you've got weaknesses, then they're more likely to come after you. If you're more like standing upright and strong like this, that they're less likely to see you as a target so much, because you look like you know what you're doing, and you look like you're very um sure of yourself. So when I'm in on the streets, like walking, I make sure I'm kind of striding quite strongly, especially at night, and I'm looking quite strong. It doesn't mean to sound necessarily totally strong inside, but it's important to project the image that you're a strong, steadfast, solid person, not someone who's like darting around. So some people with social anxiety, for example, they tend to look around more at their surroundings because they're worried that people's looking at them. It's actually the worst thing you do, because you're drawing attention to yourself. So instead, you have peripheral vision and notice people in your eye line either side, but you keep focused on where you've got to go. If you see there's a drunk or druggie coming your way, then you purposely go the other way. Like, it might mean backtracking, or it might mean just shooting forward quicker. But people who have social anxiety, sometimes they make themselves, not on purpose, by accident, look dodgy, because they're looking like this, like, who's looking at me? And by doing that, people look at you, because people see you twitching your head like this. People see you looking up. People see you being self-conscious. So it's better to just think, I have the attitude in my head. I'm going to swear now. I have the attitude in my head that I was like, don't come near me. Like, and it's a bit sometimes like, don't come near me. I don't want I don't want your shit. Right? It's more like, it's a bit more of an aggressive stance in my head, because to protect myself is a bit more like, even though I'm kind and caring person inside, it's a bit more like, more of an aggressive undertone. Not aggressive as I'm going to punch someone, but a more of a aggressive, I don't know how to say it, more of a like, don't come near me. Don't come near me, because I don't want you near me. You know what I mean? More like, move out of my way, I'm coming type thing. Because if you act like, oh my God, what's happening, like this, and you dither, people see that as a weakness, and they're more likely to attack you. So you want to be, even if you're trembling inside, you want to pretend that you're as strong as possible. Sometimes though, I do get eerie feelings, and then I will literally start running fast. Like, if I'm on my own really late at night, like if it's 2 a.m. or something, and I have to go down a street and there's no one there, I will literally run really fast to home, because I don't want to hang around, because I don't like being out too long late at night in the middle of the night. And and if I run fast, it's harder for someone to catch me, I think. And so, you know what I mean? I kind of like dart past and try and get home quicker. So it depends on the scenario and what's happening at the time. Obviously, you can get taxis as well. That does really help, providing you trust the taxi drivers. And a lot of the time, you have to book taxis up early as well. So I will get taxis. I do get taxis. Like, if I come back from London, I do get a taxi from the train station usually to go home, that type of thing. That's really important. That's part of self-love. But what I'm doing is like self-dating again. So self-dating is very important, because it helps you to trust yourself by self-dating and sticking to the times that you self-date. And by showing up for yourself, it enables you to trust yourself more. So a lot of us have had problems in our childhood and past where we've had difficulties that's meant that we don't trust ourselves. We've had certain types of relationships, could be with family, friends in the past, work colleagues, at school, college, where we were made to not trust ourselves. And this is really hardcore. So in order to start trusting yourself, you have to make decisions for yourself rather than relying on other people to make your decisions for you. This doesn't mean to say you can't ask other people's opinion. Sometimes you're going to ask other people's opinion, because you're going to work as a team with other people and include them, right? And sometimes it's good to get another opinion. But if you totally rely on other people's opinions all the time, can't make any decisions for yourself, that's not good. It's not self-reliance, and it won't help your self-esteem. So you have to make some decisions on your own. You have to make more decisions, bigger decisions, more often, more frequently. And with self-dating is a conscious thing. So it's not like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm just going to go and get a sandwich. Like today, I went to the Thai, well, yesterday now, because we've gone into the next day, I went to the Thai restaurant. That wasn't a self-date. That wasn't planned. That was me like being really, really hungry. Although I had it in my head that I'm probably going to go to the noodle bar. Also, I was meant to meet a friend that's in hospital and she had some leave, but she couldn't actually meet me. We we're going to go to the noodle bar together, but that was much. That was like two. Well, it was 1 a.m. Not 1 a.m. 1 p.m. But by the time I went on my own, it was gone 3:30. It was nearly 4 p.m. So I decided to go on my own still. So that was kind of like, I thought, as I was meant to go with her anyway, rather than kind of have that let down feeling within myself. It's not her fault. She's not well. She thought she was going to be well enough to go, but she wasn't. That's fine. But I've learned in my life that if someone can't meet me for a date or someone can't go to a certain place with me, I don't sit around moping. I just go there myself on my own usually, because then it's no big deal. It's like if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. And that's a self-love thing. It's saying that I'm good enough to go somewhere by myself, still enjoy myself without relying on other people to make me happy. I can make myself happy. I can facilitate myself doing that thing. That's a self-love thing. And self-dating is a conscious thing. So I specifically knew that I'd probably go back to self-dating on a Sunday, and I hadn't been doing it because of a respiratory infection and then moving. But today, a few hours' time, I'm going to be doing that again because I think it's important. And now I say, hey, I'm going to start doing this again for myself. And it's usually on Sunday, but I give myself a bit of leeway so that if there's a much better film on a Saturday, for example, or in the week, I can shift my date, but I have a conscious date with myself. This means that it's like in the diary or on my calendar or mentally in my head as a fixed thing that can't be got out of. Do you know what I mean? When I say can't be got out of, obviously if I'm seriously ill, like when I had a respiratory infection, I didn't want to go and make other people sick and I couldn't speak. And it wasn't, I was poorly. I was having flu symptoms. I don't want to go and spread that to other people. But in general, I expect myself to follow through and to go to this. Like, I'm usually up later and I have to get up early in the morning to do this, but it's important I do that because it's trusting myself. It's saying, okay, I'm going to be at a certain place at a certain time because I love myself. I want to give myself some time out to switch off from the outside world, which is what the cinema does. It gives me a very magical feeling as well. And it's important I do that for myself and have that time out with just me to make myself happy. And that's part of self-love. When I did move, the night I moved from my old place to this place fully on the 8th of November, where I was fully moved out of the other place, I did go and celebrate in the evening on my own. That wasn't a self-date. That was me celebrating moving. So I had a meal out at that Thai restaurant. I say it's a Chinese restaurant. It's like Chinese, but it's Chinese pad Thai. Basically, it's a restaurant with Chinese people, but I get pad Thai, so I get Thai food from it. So anyway, I'm like, is it Thai? Is it Chinese? Or is it both? Anyway, and so I had that, and then I went to the cinema late night showing of Red One, which is a very crazy film. It's a Christmas film, but it's so far out. It's a cross between a Halloween and a Christmas film, I would say. And that was a late night showing at View, and I bought myself a popcorn, which is basically the same price as a ticket, pretty much. And I've never done that in years, but I'm like, because I promised myself, I'm like, oh, you haven't had a popcorn for years at the cinema. I'm talking absolute years, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, but you're worth spending that money on. And I want you to treat yourself because you've just moved, and it's important to celebrate successes. Part of self-love is celebrating your success. Like when you do something, have a big milestone, like moving is a really big milestone. It's very stressful. It's one of the biggest stressful things you can ever do in your life. So when I reached that milestone, I've actually secured a home. I'm living there now. I've moved all my other stuff. Other stuff's cleaned, and I had an inspection to get my deposit back. I've just got my deposit back now. Then it's a celebration. You have to celebrate wins in life. So you have to celebrate, like I celebrated moving. And now it's time for me to start self-dating again, just celebrating being single and dating myself again. It's important I get back to dating myself, because what happens as well is if I don't self-date, I do fall into the trap sometimes of thinking more about other guys, about kissing them, or what I'm lacking in terms of like I haven't got a relationship. When I don't do stuff I love, so if I haven't done writing for a while, which I haven't done much of, I've only done some for one book, recently, just one day. It wasn't even specifically meant to be for the book, but it ended up in the book. But that took a number of hours, but it was on one day, and I haven't really done anything else apart from that. So in writing wise, so I'm missing that. And when I don't write, I then start thinking about guys and what I'm missing in my life. But if I write, it helps me. Minky, do you think you'll be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of you moving to where you are now? I'm doing so with the start of a new LP this year. I don't tend to have anniversaries of where I move, to be honest, Minky. I don't tend to do that at all. I don't really think about stuff like that. Moving home to me, I know it's different with you. It's very important to you because of the situation you got away from. But with me, I don't tend to celebrate the anniversary of me moving. It's the most important thing is I've actually moved. I'm not really, for me, I don't really have an interest in celebrating like being here a year later. I've never had an interest in that. Doesn't mean to say I could not have an interest in it in the future, but yeah, that's something I don't really think about. I'm more likely to think about on the 5th of November, which was the first night I slept here. That was the day that me and my last long-term ex split up. So I've been free of a mental prison now for 13 years because being with him is very, very abusive. And usually I would celebrate that in some way. But I guess actually like moving here and sleeping here is like a celebration. It's like a new start as well. So yeah. So self-dating is going to be really good. My legs are aching now. And you know, I think it's going to be important. I think it's important to celebrate what is important to you. Like, I know you moving is really important because, like you said in the comments, you got away from abusive people. So that's a huge, huge deal, you know. But I celebrate usually on a 5th, even if I don't go out, because the 5th of November is when my last long-term ex finally left my life, and he was very abusive. And so for me, the actual day he left, although it hurt at the time because I was very attached to him, it was beautiful in the sense that it finally went. 13 years, wow, since 2011. Yeah, I'm too young for that, really, aren't I? I had started LPing. I can't even say that word. Earlier that year too. 13th of March. Sorry, that's a great thing you got out too. Yeah, it's 13 years now. 2011 was my last long-term relationship. Not short-term, but long-term. And sometimes I still have dreams with him in it. I think it's PTSD symptoms. So I haven't had one for a while, but sometimes I do. Also, because I mention him on this channel sometimes because he was the last guy I actually had sex with. I'm an asexual that has had sex in the past. And unfortunately, with him, when I say unfortunately, he wasn't bad at doing that at all. It was actually the only time he was nice to me, which is why I liked that time with him. Wasn't really interested in the sex. I just liked his personality, that he was kind and caring because he was getting sexual stuff basically, and he was nice like that. But the rest of the time he was abusive. So it was the time that I liked, know how he was with me during that time, not the actual sex itself. I wasn't really interested in that, you know. I'd rather have done the washing up, and I hate washing up. So I've got a mini dishwasher to help me in this place. So I think, you know, like going back to self-love, like with the self-dating, it's about putting a date in the diary, showing up for myself, keeping my promise to myself that I'm going to be doing that and enjoying myself. And it's like, even if you've got other things going on, like I've got loads to do, it's like, no, you take time out for you because you have to love yourself first. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Something could happen. You know, I don't want anything to happen, but you know what I mean? Like, if I'm just worried about boxes all the time, it means I'm not living for now, and I need to live for now as well. You need to like live in the moment for now and still enjoy your life while dealing with the upheaval and stress of the aftermath, if you like, fallout, aftermath, whatever you want to call it, of moving when you've got boxes everywhere and things to do. You know, there's only a certain amount you can do in a day, and you have to put yourself first in terms of eating. Like, I had to eat out, and I had to go and get food from Tesco's, like, to eat something at night because I hadn't got any potatoes, so I needed that, you know what I mean? So there's things I had to do. I've already bought my snacks for tomorrow, by the way. Today, the cinema is 2:31 on the Sunday, the 17th of November when I'm recording this, and the cinema, I have to be up at 8 a.m. The cinema starts at 9:45. I have to have like at least an hour or an hour and a half usually. Sometimes it's up to 2 hours to get ready. But as it's just around the corner from where I live now, an hour and a half should be sufficient. So, and part of self-love is literally saying like, I need time out for me. Sometimes I have to switch my phone off, although I haven't really done it much since moving because I've had to be on call for workmen and emails about moving from different companies as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get my old landline phone number back. I got told it'd be transferred over to BT from PlusNet, but that hasn't been. So I've got a guy looking into that for me. So it's constant stuff, you know. It's like stuff you've got to do in your home, emails you've got to respond to, different companies you've got to deal with when you're moving. It's all stress, and it goes on for a lot longer than you wished it would. I've still got to update my addresses with some other places too. So it doesn't really stop, but you have to stop and take time out for you. Still take time out for your friends, but obviously prioritize your own health and well-being as well. Like if I'm not eating properly, then I'm not in a fit state to talk to people. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, on that note, I do need to get some sleep. It's important I do get some sleep, which is part of the self-love, self-care thing as well, before the cinema, because I have got a busy day ahead as usual. And I'm speaking to my friend who's in hospital at the moment later on today. I've still got more shopping to do after the cinema, more food shopping. So I still want that to do. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Don't forget to keep self-loving and self-caring. Don't forget to keep your promises to yourself. Stick something in the diary or calendar and stick to it. Minky, thanks for the stream. Thank you, Minky, for being here. I really appreciate you. I always appreciate you. Appreciate your messages as well. So yeah, Minky is one of my very first channel subscribers going back 2000 I started this channel in 2015. I think it wasn't long after Minky subscribed. I'm not sure if it was 2015 or 2016. He was one of the first subscribers of this channel. So it's nice for him to be here. And he's in my Asexual Perspectives book, which I haven't actually got to hand at the moment. It's in my little bedside table, but go and get a copy of Asexual Perspectives on Amazon because it's really, really good. Anyway, I love you and leave you for now. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thumbs up if you like this video. And share it if you think someone may benefit from these self-love things. I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. Thank you, Minky. Thanks to everyone else who's watched tonight. Take care. Bye-bye. See you soon.